have to remember about Secret Life is we are really digging into the patriarchal expectations of women when we are looking at this show and how sex is viewed under patriarchy and especially under religion, because we know those things tend to go hand in hand. And Grace's storyline is actually so incredibly interesting to me, because one thing about Grace is her family is very Christian, right? And she is kind of having this moment where she's like, I do want to sleep with my boyfriend. Maybe I'm curious enough and I would like to do that, right? And her father is very, I would say, the strictest in the household about the religion. And the thing is, he does not want them to have sex before marriage, right? He does not encourage that in any way, shape, or form. And they get into a fight about this. Then we know Grace's dad goes to do his doctor thing in Africa, and basically on his way back, he does die in a plane crash. Now, allegedly simultaneously, whilst the plane crash is happening, Grace was having sex with her boyfriend. Now, I say allegedly because I feel like everyone interprets it this way because it's kind of implied. But also, Grace, for that period of time where she was grieving, right? She did think that it was her fault. But it was more than just, I committed a sin and my consequence was like, I killed my father in a plane crash, right? It was way more than that, because something interesting that Grace says in this that honestly, I think is part of, honestly, the point of the entire show, right? With every character you see this kind of idea in various ways, is that she said, I had incredible sex. That's why he had a horrible death, right? It wasn't just about that the sin of having sex before marriage was committed and that was her punishment, right? It was that she enjoyed it, because she said, maybe if I hadn't enjoyed it so much, he would still be alive, which I've joked before. If she maybe didn't like it as much, maybe he would have been in the ICU. Maybe he wouldn't have fully died, right? And it's a funny joke to make, but it actually points out the horrible thing in Secret Life is that they don't want women to enjoy their lives. They don't. And listen, this is a teen drama. Things need to happen. This show is bucking nuts, and it has to be. Like, this is the beauty of 2010s at the end of the day. They gotta be so messed up. Hello, that's why we're watching. But later on, when obviously there's no secret in Secret Life of the American Teenager and is getting around school that Grace did have sex with Jack, Amy is outside the church nursery and she is talking with her mother and she's like, did you hear Grace and Jack had sex? And then she goes, and she liked it. And then her mom's like, oh, Amy, please. Like, why are women not allowed to like sex? We should be thinking about that. We should be unpacking why we don't want women to feel joy, right? And this, the biggest one of them all, right, is because although this is a very like Christian conservative vibe kind of show, and we see that through all the things that happen in this show and the way they handle these issues, right? One thing we notice is how they treat Adrian. Adrian is essentially the wild woman, right? Because she does not that she doesn't have shame around sex, because we do learn there is some there, but there isn't shame in that, hey, sex is a natural thing. I like sex. I'm very open about it. There's nothing wrong with it, right? And all this time, Adrian is being punished for it throughout the entire series. We even see her briefly be punished when everyone is like, see, you made sex look desirable, then Grace did it, and then maybe if Grace didn't do it, then maybe her dad wouldn't have died, right? Like, this is like, where are we going? Which, a funny quote from that episode is where she goes telling her dad, what everyone's saying about that. And he's like, you know that, like, that's not the case, right? And she's like, I know, but the Christians are blaming me. I love that clip. But it is just so interesting because I go, that's it. The women are not allowed to enjoy everything, right? And they are, first of all, being put against the worst men in the world who can't commit, who are not respectful, who only want them for sex, and like sometimes will be the nice guy, but not even the real nice guy that you would want, right? Because they still view woman and sex in such a weird way, and that is really amplified on how, when you look at the show through a patriarchal lens, which I can't imagine how you would look at it through any other lens, like, the way people view their relationship to sex, and when we think about what are the reasons that we've gotten to this place, like, it is actually insane. Like, how, like, I'm frightened. Like, I like to joke that, like, this is my yelling show, right? I'm laughing at the absurdity, I'm yelling at all of the characters, but the thing is that anything you write, whether intentional or not, these biases, the ways that we have viewed the world, right, and the ways that we have seen other people view the world, right, are just naturally going to come out of the writing no matter what. And seeing this as, it's like a clip of time, okay, is so interesting to me. So Grace is being punished, as are the other women in the show, because she dared to enjoy sex. And that is honestly what makes Grace such a compelling character. Like, yes, all of these characters are flawed in Secret Life. There is no doubt about it. But I think it's very interesting how this openness to sex and accepting that, like, I am allowed to want to feel pleasure, right? Kind of sort of intertwined into her. I don't know that she was fully deconstructing, I would say, but she was starting to question things, starting to think for herself in a way that I think many other people probably didn't want to do, because they're trying to uphold this very patriarchal structure, whatever you want to consider it. But at the end of the day, Grace's only crime was that she enjoyed being sexual, right? Because here's the thing, we can joke all we want. Do you think Jack was actually being a good partner? Based on the things that Madison says later on in the series, not that I can't differ partner to partner, I'm just saying Secret Life is offering this up. And then I go, well, how true is that? Doesn't matter. The fact is that Grace had sex for the first time and enjoyed it so much, and that was her crime in the show. And we see that translated through how everyone views this incident, right? It's so interesting, because a show like this tends to be hypocritical by nature, because, like, the random progressive things are going to come out, even though they push them back into the box at the end of the day. But it is really just so telling how, like, having a better relationship to this stuff does do better for you, right? But if we fail to deconstruct the patriarchal aspects of what affects our opinion about this, that is what is ultimately challenging at the end of the day. And the creator, like I said, it's a show, things have to happen, we have to have an interesting, crazy show to watch at the end of the day. The creator saying that Grace and Jack should be endgame, that to me is, you don't like women. You don't like Grace Bowman. And let me tell you something. I don't care if it's not interesting for the plot. I think Grace can be interesting on her own. Grace and Jack should not be together. Jack Pappas, that is a whole other dissertation that I could write, quite frankly, because that man is horrendous and does not view women as full people. I think there's a lot to unpack there, and that's not Grace Bowman's responsibility in any way, shape, or form. But if you stuck around this long, I want to say thank you for listening, but I want to hear from you. Where have you seen this language throughout the show? And if there's any other shows that really kind of gave you insights into how people think about these ideas under patriarchy. Because Secret Life is one of those shows, is like, every goddamn episode is insane. It's insane. Because when you really break it down, it's like, we all got a lot of issues here that nobody could tackle in a day, in a month, in a year, in a decade, in an eon, quite frankly.